Let's read on page Kuf Tzadi Daled. We're in site reference city over here, trying to look at where all these ideas are coming from. Mostly they're coming from the Maimari Rashbi. Let's look at the idea. So the idea is that Ivor Veledus Zer Venuk of top of Kuf Tzadi Daled. Just reading across the top again to familiarize ourselves, and then we'll move on. So all these different words, and the Meforshim want to say that many different meanings into the words. He says Hainu. So he says, what is this about? How do we parse this out so we know this is talking about the Iver of and latest of Zer Anpen and the Nukva. He says Hainu dechsev anisem es nafsho sechem b'teisha the chodesh be'erev. So the Teisha meaning, he means an Erev Yom Kippur, on the night of Yom Kippur. B'chai Zimna at this time, and once again they point out this is in brackets. Adnai said this is Adni, and then he says Avaya, which is menukad with an Elokim. Ata chilosa laharos as avdaka as godlocho. There's a lot here. He said Hashem shalim b'sitrui, in his place the name Yudke Vavke is complete in its place. So the Ara always refers, this is the best I can get, is that the movement that's going on inside of Malchus, lo shlim, is not complete. He lo ksiv, because Yehi is not written there. Okay, so we went through some of that, and it had to do with the fact that Zer Anpen and the Nukva are in reverse order. That the Nukva is first, and then comes Zer Anpen, which makes it impossible for Zohar V'Nuk to make a Yichud. That seemed to be the gist of the order of some of the words. And we went through some of the words, and we'll go through them more in the Ha'aros later on. So the last place that I thought that I would look at was on page Kuf Tzadi. What is that page? Kuf Tzadi Vav. On number Yud Bet at the bottom. We're going to find Yud Bet at the top. So why am I having trouble here? Is Yud Gimel, and I couldn't find Yud Bet. So I'm going to read, because since I don't know where it is, unless my pencil's going bad here, I'm going to read from. Here's Yud Bet up here. Let's read from Yud Aleph. So the Yud Aleph says, "V'hocha b'rekishusa rabeda da'ara." Movement in Malchus. V'alkan bebechinas ivor shezer anpin v'nukva rochasha b'zocha b'binach ha'nikratz eretz. So my mistake. So I called it Malchus. He says not. He says this is actually, we're talking about of the area very high up on the beard, the 13th tikkun we were talking about before. Now we moved over to what comes after that, which is gestation of Zohar V'Nuk inside of Ima. Okay, let's go. So he said, Bina hanikras eretz al Yona, Zohar B'Sod Tedshe ha'aretz deshe. So these languages, Tedshe ha'aretz deshe, doesn't say anything about birth. It means something like original planting. Zohar V'Lo Shlim, and it's not going to be complete. So he says, Oz Zer Anpin Adayim Eno B'Shlemus. Why? He says, Ki Zer V'Nuk Ocho Yechadayim Dakim Kekar Nechagavim. They were very, very small, almost impossible to see. And that's what we said earlier, that's the problem, is that when they first come in, the Nukva, and he had mentioned earlier, which is not so easy to hear, is that the Nukva is very much attached to, or goes up and attaches herself to Bina. So how that works, I don't know. Anfin besod du partzufim, the two partzufim, there are two different partzufim there. V'oz gam ein zivug bezer v'nuk kalmor. So since you have them now, but the dalad becomes before the vav, which is the nuk comes before the male, so you're not going to have a yichud. So let me see if I can make this work out on number Yud Bet. Where is it? He says like this: Rei b'shar mamari Rashbi. Shabir kan v'zel l'shono. And remember, we're going over quotes of where we saw these phrases. Just trying to get my glasses lined up. I still get my new glasses. Because in the tiyos, that is the seedlings, zocher v'nok, are still very, very small, very, very fine, almost like impossible to see. The dal was on top of the vug. Nukva is the churuk, the frish. So we talked about it, he says. Let's go on to the next one. He says, Ad kan. V'chein rei b'shar ma'amari Rashbi, look over there, he says, lo cholam, v'sel l'shon, v'lo v'hoyu shleimim, k'hoyu k'karnich agavim, etc. Ad kan. More language. Of Sifra inyan on the tiyus, shehoyu dakim k'karnich agavim, rei b'zohar. Look over there in the Zohar. Baruch Hashem. V'sel l'shono, tanan, he said, b'chanetiyos k'karnich agavim, havu. And whatever, he said, whatever light that you could make out from them is really, really thin. I guess they couldn't adkan, they really couldn't see what they were shining. So a little bit more definition there in Karnich Agavim, or a little bit more about what their status was, or this is the very beginning of gestation. If you say lo shlim, it actually has two different things associated with it. One, shahoyadakim kakarnich agav, in the base, shahan nukva kadma lezacher b'so dalad al vav, so that the dalad is the big timer over here. Amnam yesh od inyan gimel, but there's a third thing, and which is what? Who the oz ein zivug lezer v'nuk, they can't make a yichud. I don't know that, I thought the 2 and 3 according to this would be pretty much the same thing, but going on anyway. So he's Rashbi l'cholon sham v'zel l'shono. Behind the ka'ambach of the chacham b'chinichushus of the ara. So here we'll be talking about this, the movement inside of the ara. Lo shlim, and when it's like that, it's not complete. Now, why he used the b'chishusa? What is particular, why didn't you just say bifnim? What did we say? The movement within. The yehi lokasib, but he says, well, what we want to see over here is that the word yehi is not written. V'zecha v'yora ki lo choya mishava esev ze al yedei zivuk. So he says esev, right? So that this asev, or this growing plant, let's say, zeh al yedei zivug, did not come about as a result of zivug. Now, I don't know what he meant by that exactly, so let's see. He has a parenthesis to try to help us. Shebishase iver lo nishava v'notzach b'zon anikrayim asev. So now here we know the word asev, they're called the plant. So he says that so let me go back. V'zeh yoraki lo hoya mischava esev. They didn't become a plant there. Zer al yedei zivug. That's what he said. I'm in the wrong place. Shebishas ha'ivach v'lo nischava v'notzrech b'zun hanikrayim esev. They didn't come into being there. Ba'ofen she'yira v'zivug b'nechem. That in any way that they could possibly have a yichud. Ki hadayim lo hoya zivug, because there's still no zivug at this point. There's zervanuk. Ki choysach ha'aretz hanukva. And that position is aser. Aliyas malchus the bina. Kiyom akipurim like ukanegdam yesh gimel inyanim. Now you want to say there are 3 different inyanim that correspond to them, but bechina shlim there's their anpin canal b'ha'aros. Now we'll get to more of that. There's a little bit more, so I just wanted to do a little bit out of this to try to give us an idea. So let's go on to the next part and see if it's, that once again is qualifying, but not bringing out anything really new, as I don't think. Let's talk about that. Now, I thought nidnud was more like bouncing around. So movement. So my question was, well, what's the point? So what? So they're moving. What is that? They're one on top of in the wrong order, and they're bouncing around. So mitzvah seal. So mitzuda seal. He says, "B'zel l'shono rachash. What's achrash? Inyan tenua of the nidnud. B'divrei Rizal, lo marchashkan sifsose. So it's like the movement of the lips, right? That one we have over there. The Mezechah b'yomer minchas marcheshes, and so that we have also this minchas marcheshes. What does that mean? I see the word rochash. So lefi shema'asech rochashim u'mena'anim. So since they're moving around and they're moving, I'd gone. I'm just understand what's the significance of the fact that they're moving. What he had said was that the dal is on top of the vav. Okay, they're in the wrong order. But what does movement have to do with this? Also, we said like this, when there's embryonic stage, Havlad Marachesh Uminis Noah B'mei Ima. So he says you could see that by us, he said the same thing is that the child, the embryo is moving around. V'rei Gam B'nezer Yisrael, look over there, Khan Shabir V'zel Lashona B'rechishuz Shechabina Rocheshes B'socha, that Bina is now what? So he said V'zel Lashona Rechishuz Shechabina Rocheshes B'socha, she has something moving around inside of her. So it's a little diuk into that particular word to try to look at it. Let's see if there's anything else. Maybe I didn't really look at this one, but I know it was there. I was thinking maybe we were going to someplace where we could get some new ideas. So reading from number Yud Bet, and we still have a little bit of time, so we can look at this. He said, "V'amar od yehi lo ksiv." Never says that it's going to become. Ki l'chein lo amara b'pasu yehi esav mazriya zera, doesn't say that. Ela esav mazriya's roy zera bilvad. It only says that. V'ha'inyan hu ki milas yehi romas loholedes zera v'nuk v'yatziasach l'chutz, as they go out of the womb, because holed, he said, because the word yehi means it's happening. It's going to happen. Ki shlosh osir shal yehi heim abba v'imba besod yud k v'zer v'nuk besod os yud. So like that. Let me see that again. Ki shlosh osius of this word yehi. There, one of them is abba, one of them is ima, and then there's another yud on the end. Is v'zer anpin, is that other yud. Behind the abba v'imba shehem yud k. Molidim as their anpin who gam came besod os yud. I also wonder why we'd say that, but he says that the fichoch ataka b'shasa iver shachadayim locha b'noiled v'nizgala zer v'nuk. So now, when they're still not born, he says the van enum maskir milas yehi. We don't have the word yehi. Yehi is like the like the proverbial starting gun at the race. Bang, everything goes out. That's the word yehi. Haram is loholeda v'yitzia l'chutz v'amarak esav mazriya zera. So then it just defines it of what it is. Now let's look and see if we can see Young Gimel has anything helpful for us to get something new insight. Zechavei b'shar ma'amari Rashbi, where he says shabir kan v'zel l'shona b'lefichoch lo nizker yehi. It doesn't say that. So going once again, but my Rashbi is where the source of these answers are. He says shazeh mora al chachma b'bina, because this really teaches about chachma bina, abba and ima, shehem sod osius yud and k, shel shem havaya sheholido, that give birth to another yud. It's like male and female come together, give birth to a male. Well, that's what he said. So he said, so it makes a yud acheres shehu zer anpin. Haromas ba'os yud, the fi, it's a y. The fi shehu chachma chachniya, it's a second level of chachma. It's a level down from chachma on the right line. Kedugmas chachma chachma shehi abba os yud. The fi shemimenu min chachma, the rosh zer anpin. He said min chachma. The rosh zer anpin, from chachma to the head of zer anpin, misparshin lamed based nesivas chachma. That's where you see the lamed based nesivas of chachma are coming in to zer anpin. It's a complicated idea. Ad kan. It needs more explanation. V'rei, so he says v'rei od. So look furthermore. Od b'shar ma'amari Rashbi l'cholon v'zel l'shano. Kashin emer tedsha as emer tedsha. That word tedsha. Adayim lo nizgala zer v'nuk klal. Tedsha just means the beginning of their appearance, I guess. But he says that they're still not revealed at all. Meaning they're not out of the womb. So therefore the Yud and the K and the Yud, because there's only a Yud and K here, Adkan. V'rei od b'cholon, look later on, shemizbayer inyan noisev b'midas yehi mitzad shorish ha'elyon, that come from, what does this mean? From the side of the upper root, which means what? Shal yitzias v'leidas zer v'nuk b'koach chachma kodemis b'koach chachma Keduma, the beginning Chachma, which is Chachma B'Bina Shebekesser. Now, let's just look at that one more time, because a lot of fancy words here. So he says, Rei Od Loholon. He says it's coming up. Shemiz Boyer Inyan Nosif, something which is a new idea, or an additional idea, B'Midas Yehi, Mitzad Shorish Elyon. Now, what does he mean by the Shorish Elyon? Where is the Shorish of what? Of the Elyon? So he says, shall Yitzias Veledis Zer Vanuk, where actually does the whole Yitzia of the creation of them begin? B'koach Chachma Keduma Ubina Shebekesser. So this is where it starts. So all things, as we see, looking at it and thinking of it in Ovi, is that sometime you're going to loom the next parts of which are going to be the parts of Chachma. You're talking here about the initial place where it starts is the Chochmah Bina of Kesser. Shehem Gam Bebechinas Osias Yud K, just the same way in Ovi, they're in the most panimi part, Yud K shall Yehi. So that's where the ball starts rolling. But now we see that they still have not revealed themselves. Lo Ne'emer Yehi Ein Sham, it's not going to say Yehi Ein Sham. Rabbi Sharma Mari Rashbe Lochalon Vizel Lashon of a Nimsa Sheyehi Hu Klal Klala the Shlima. The word Shlima incorporates with it, the word Yehi incorporates with it the concept of Shlemas. So which he said the Chachma Kodemis the Bina Shebekesser V'zer Anpin etc. Adkan Dada. Thank you so much. Right, that's it.